to parliaments. Another one of the Liberal MPs looking to change the party's official position is Tim Wilson. He joins us now from Canberra. Tim, thanks for your time this morning.
Pleasure, Paul. Always good to be with you.
All of the people who know the numbers, or say they know the numbers, say that nothing will change greatly on your party's position today, but there may be a move towards a postal vote. What do you think will happen in this discussion?
Well, I'm not going to speculate what's going to happen. I mean, we've always had to have this discussion. The plebiscite was defeated in the Senate. I voted for the plebiscite in the House of Representatives before it was defeated in the Senate. We now need to have a discussion about alternative pathways and also about what we are going to do as a party in the lead up to next election. This conversation always had to be had, and I'm looking forward to a sensible and robust conversation.
What chance of winning a free vote?
Well, I don't know. I haven't got a read on all of my colleagues, but I think no matter what happens, if we go through a postal plebiscite or any avenue, in the end it always ends up with a free vote back in the parliament. That was the position we took to the election. That is all I have ever argued for, to honour the full election commitment. We're going to have a discussion about how we're going to honour that full election commitment as a party.
What's the theme of what you would say to try and sway your colleagues?
Well, what I'm going to do is tell people what I'm hearing from the electors of Goldstein, the people of Brighton, Hampton, Sandringham, Elstonwick, Blackrock, Beaumaris, Bentley, McKinnon, Ormond and Caulfield South and Gardenvale, Hampton East and Hyatt. What they've been telling me consistently is that they believe there should be a change in the law. If you look, there are 3 consecutive opinion polls that have now been published, one by the Liberal Party itself, which shows that the Goldstein electorate has the highest support of change in law of any electorate in the country. But that doesn't mean that we should ignore the other 20-odd%. In fact, I've spoken to a lot of those other 20-odd% who've called me, and I just want to say that I've heard you, people who feel very strongly against a change in the law, who believe that they want to have their say through a vote, and I'm going to communicate that position to the party room because that's what a good representative should do.
So how would you feel about a postal vote then?
Well, I don't want to get into speculation, Paul. There's, I've always said that a plebiscite was not my first preference, but I did honour my commitment. I did vote for it in the Parliament. Yeah. I don't think anyone would be surprised to say that a postal plebiscite probably isn't my first preference either. But we work together as a team and focus on making sure that we can deliver something as a team, and that's where my focus has and always will be.
If it's offered to you as a compromise, you and your other colleagues that would prefer not to have it and move straight to a free vote and a conscious vote. If that's offered to you as a compromise today, would you see that as a better result than what you've been available to you until now?
Well, as I said, Paul, I'm looking for a pathway that honours our full election commitment, that ends up, as it always will, even with a compulsory plebiscite, had it passed through the Senate, with a free vote in the Parliament, where members are able to exercise their voice, reflecting the opinions of the nation as well as their community, as well as, of course, their own conscience. If we come up with a postal plebiscite, looking at the conditions and the terms obviously will matter, but I'm very open to any idea to find a pathway to work through this issue, because the other thing, the overriding thing I hear back from my constituents, for or against, is that they want the Parliament to be focused on what we can be doing to lower electricity prices, what we can be doing to deal with the challenges around the deficit and the national debt. And that's where my focus is. That's the reason I got into politics, to actually improve the lives of every Australian. This is an important issue, but it's only one of many.
Now, how do you think this is playing out? Many said that it would be traumatic for gay people if this was discussed over and over and that was handled in this way. How do you think that that's panning out for the public and those people that are waiting and waiting for gay marriage to become legal?
Well, I think it's traumatic no matter what happens for those people who find the constant debate about their lives in public, through public debate. And I always warned that I didn't think that blocking a plebiscite was a good idea. I wrote an article in the Sydney Morning Herald when Labor and the Greens and Darren Hinch and Nick Xenophon and all of the other groups were out there arguing against it. I said this is an opportunity to resolve this debate, to bring the country together. Yes, there'll be people who will not like their lives being discussed, but that won't change if we block the plebiscite. Unsurprisingly, we're still here talking about the same issue, trying to resolve it. And that's why a sensible, constructive pathway forward is something that I'm very open to, because I actually want to end this debate. I actually want to get to the point where we have a vote in the Parliament, it's resolved, and the country can move on so we can focus on what we can do to cut electricity prices, what we can do to deal with the economy and addressing the national debt, improving the health system for the 21st century. That's where my focus is.
And Tim, you did list all of those places that you've been around and you've talked to so many people. Are people suffering more as this debate, so-called debate, goes on?
Well, I did list all those places in my electorate, and I've heard very strong views across the board, as I said, both very strong in favour and also those people very strong against and feeling that they should have a plebiscite vote. So to Anne, to Leo, to Jeremy, to Carmel, to all of those people, to Leo, another Leo that I spoke to only the other day, I've heard you. I understand your concerns and I'm reflecting on them very deeply. But the important thing is to make sure that as a representative, I represent the whole community's opinion, which includes those against, but also those people who are in favour. And as I've said, three consistent public opinion polls, two public opinion polls, one private opinion poll, has shown that the Goldstein electorate has the highest support on this issue for change in law of any in the country. And of the unique correspondents in my office, 96% as of last Monday was running in favour of a change in law.
Just finally, Tim, before you go, Dean Smith's private members bill, what do you make of that? He went to great lengths yesterday to explain that religious exemptions.
Well, I think it's a very good bill, and he's right that it's the most comprehensive that's been put before the Parliament. I'll wait and see what feedback I get from colleagues. I've had some feedback from religious leaders and people, thought leaders in the space around religious freedom, whose opinions I take very seriously. But I do think it is the most comprehensive bill. And even if we went to a full plebiscite, or we had a postal plebiscite, we would have to have a bill. So putting it on the table is a constructive part of the discussion so that we can end this issue and move on.
Tim Wilson, thanks for your time this morning.
Thanks, Paul.